Imagine making one mistake in your 20s, then two more in your 30s, and being locked away forever. Not for murder, not for assault, but for something as small as stealing a pair of socks or shoplifting DVDs. Sound extreme? That's not fiction. It's the real consequence of a law that's still active in parts of the United States today. The U.S. justice system is built on the idea of consequences, but also on the idea of second chances. Or at least, it used to be. In the 1990s, that philosophy shifted. What if someone kept reoffending? What if they didn't change after prison the first or second time? That's where the three strikes law comes in. What started as a rallying cry for justice became one of the most debated pieces of criminal legislation in modern American history. Have you ever wondered if locking someone up for life, sometimes over a non-violent third offense, actually makes you safer? In this video, we'll examine how public fear, political power, and emotional headlines shaped a law that sent thousands to prison, some for the rest of their lives. We'll explore how this law changed the justice system, the lives it impacted, and whether it achieved what it promised. The Three Strikes Law was born out of two horrific crimes in California, but its reach would soon spread across the country. Media headlines fueled public outrage. Politicians raced to prove who could be toughest on crime. The result? A law that mandates a 25-to-life sentence for people with 3 felony convictions, even if the third strike is non-violent. But here's the central debate we'll be asking throughout. Is the Three Strikes Law a necessary shield to protect society, or an overreach that trades fairness for fear? This documentary-style deep dive will follow a clear structure to help you understand not just what the law is, but why it happened and what it's doing today. The events that triggered the law, the political process that pushed it through, the real wording and real-world examples of how it works, the impact on communities, prisons, and families, the evolving public opinion and reform efforts, and ultimately the question, should this law stay, go, or be rewritten? Stay with us, because understanding this one law means understanding how fear, power, and justice collide in modern America. The seeds of the Three Strikes Law were planted in tragedy. In 1992, Kimber Reynolds, an 18-year-old college student in Fresno, California, was leaving a restaurant when she was shot in the head during a purse-snatching gone wrong. Her devastated father, Mike Reynolds, began a tireless campaign to change the law, believing her death could have been prevented if her killer, a repeat offender, had been behind bars. A year later, America was shaken again. Klaas, a 12-year-old girl from Petaluma, California, was abducted at knife point from her bedroom during a slumber party. Her kidnapper, Richard Allen Davis, was a repeat felon who had been released from prison just months earlier. The media turned these cases into national stories. Every headline carried a message. Repeat offenders were out of control, and the justice system wasn't doing enough. By 1994, public fear had peaked. The idea that the system was failing to keep dangerous people off the streets lit a fire under California lawmakers. What's the point of a justice system, many asked, if it keeps letting monsters walk free? California's Three Strikes and You're Out law wasn't just born, it was launched like a missile. Governor Pete Wilson, running for re-election, strongly supported the law. So did law enforcement unions. Voters were angry, grieving, and ready for action. That same year, the law passed in the state legislature, but that wasn't enough. Soon after, Proposition 184, a citizen-driven ballot initiative, was introduced. It passed with overwhelming support. 72% of voters said yes. Across the country, other politicians were taking notes. The federal government also joined in, embedding similar language into the 1994 crime bill signed by President Bill Clinton. More than 25 states adopted their own Three Strikes laws between 1994 and 1999. The tough-on-crime movement wasn't a whisper, it was a roar. Here's how the original California law breaks it down. First strike, any serious or violent felony. Second strike, another serious violent felony doubles your sentence. Third strike, any felony at all, even non-violent, and you face 25 years to life. This meant someone with 2 prior felonies could be sentenced to life in prison for crimes like shoplifting, drug possession, or petty theft. The law was also retroactive, meaning past convictions counted, even if they were decades old. To illustrate, A man with 2 burglary convictions gets caught stealing videotapes. He's sentenced to life. A woman with 2 drug charges is found with a stolen jacket. 25 years, no nuance, no discretion, just 3 strikes, and you're out. After the law passed, California saw a massive spike in life sentences. Between 1994 and 2000, over 50,000 people were sentenced under 3 strikes, more than any other state. Prisons began to overflow. Costs soared. Judges had no power to reduce sentences, even when the 3rd offense was minor. The law disproportionately impacted Black and Latino communities, who were already over-policed and under-resourced. One of the most infamous cases, Leandro Andrade, a father of 3, received 2 consecutive 25-to-life sentences for shoplifting 9 children's videos from Kmart. He was a career criminal, prosecutors argued. He was trying to change, his defense claimed. But the law didn't allow room for change, just counting. Supporters hailed 3 strikes as a life-saving measure. It took dangerous criminals off the streets. It honored victims and gave peace of mind to families. It made repeat offenders think twice. But critics raised major concerns. Mass incarceration with no room for redemption. No evidence the law actually reduced crime. Billions spent on lifetime imprisonment for nonviolent crimes. We're locking people up not for what they did, but for what they might do, said one public defender. That's not justice. That's fear policy. And even among voters, the mood began to shift. 3 strikes laws quickly spread. Washington state enacted a similar law in 1993, even before California. Georgia, Florida, and Louisiana implemented even stricter versions. The federal government passed its own 3 strikes policy, mandating life sentences for a 3rd violent felony. But definitions varied. In some states, all 3 strikes had to be violent. In others, like California, the 3rd strike could be a non-violent felony. It was a national movement, but a patchwork of interpretation. By 2004, cracks in public support appeared. Proposition 66 aimed to limit the law to violent crimes. It failed, barely. But it sparked a new wave of reform discussions. In 2012, Proposition 36 passed. It changed the law to require that the 3rd strike also be serious or violent. Judges could now re-sentence prisoners if their 3rd strike wasn't. More than 2,000 inmates were released. After the change, some went on to rebuild their lives. Others, unfortunately, reoffended, fueling fresh debate. Still, the tide was turning. Despite claims of deterrence, studies found no consistent link between 3 strikes and crime reduction. In fact, crime had already been declining in the US when the law passed. What did rise? Prison populations, budgets, racial disparities, and something else, public awareness. By the 2010s, Americans were talking more openly about the failures of mass incarceration, restorative justice, sentencing reform, mental health treatment. These ideas started entering the mainstream. The once popular 3 strikes law now faced serious scrutiny from both sides of the aisle. Today, the debate rages on. Supporters argue the law prevents repeat crime, especially violent offenses. Critics say it's a hammer used on situations that need a scalpel. What happens when justice is reduced to arithmetic? We spotlight reformed former inmates who turned their lives around, and others who spiraled after being released too late or not at all. Here's the question: do we believe in punishment or in redemption? We invite you to decide for yourself. We've looked at how fear, tragedy, and politics created the 3 strikes law. We've examined its impact, intended and unintended, and heard voices from both sides of the aisle. This wasn't just a law, it was a turning point in American criminal justice. So what did we gain, and what did we lose? Public safety? Possibly. Fairness? Arguably not. Families, futures, and billions of dollars? Absolutely. The 3 strikes law challenges us to think critically about what justice should look like in a civilized society. We want to hear your voice. Do you believe people deserve a 2nd or 3rd chance? Should laws like 3 strikes be rewritten, repealed, or made even stronger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a real conversation, one that could influence how justice evolves in the years ahead. If you found this video informative, subscribe for more deep dives into the laws shaping our lives. Hit the bell to never miss an upload. The 3 strikes law was meant to make us safer. But did it? Or did it simply show how quickly a nation can sacrifice fairness for the illusion of control? Stay tuned. Because in our next episode, we'll be breaking down the Patriot Act and asking, how much freedom should we give up for security?